Hi, fifth grade. So for today for science, we talked more about how the Earth's surface is changing. We talked about plate movement and mountain building. So let's take a look at these slides, all right? So our focus question for today and tomorrow, are the moving plates of Earth's crust involved in building up Earth's surface, in forming mountains? And if so, how? So you have these same questions on your slides. So think back to last week. Our question was, what happens to the Earth's surface that causes mountains to form? So what did we learn about that question last week? One of my students today said volcanoes, and that's very important. We did learn about volcanoes, and we learned about lava, which goes right into the second question. What are some ways mountains are created? Volcanoes and lava create mountains. Then we talked about what did we learn about the tectonic plates, the Earth's plates. We talked about the fact that they fit together like puzzle pieces, right? They're very thin, like the shell of the egg. Remember, we showed that. They fit together like puzzle pieces. They move, right? And we talked about that they're all around the globe, right? So that's what we learned last week about tectonic plates. So this week we're going to expand on that and learn a little bit more. So what I want you to do next, we're going to think about all the different movements that might be happening at the boundaries between different plates. So you're going to take your hands and you're going to put them on the table in front of you. So put them flat on the table. You're going to put them side by side like this, only flat on the table, just like in the picture. And then you can tuck your thumbs under like this, or you can tuck your thumbs like this, right? Either way, so that your index fingers are touching each other. So I want you to think about, without lifting your hands off the table or moving them or anything like that, moving them off the table, think about how those plates might move. What are some ways that the plates might move? So we talked in class, eventually we came to, well, they can move like this, right? They could slip side by side, right? They could move apart like this, right? And then the last one we came up with, and it took us a minute, but if you push really hard, push them together, eventually one of them will slip and pop up over the other one. So they can move side to side like so. They can move apart like this, or they can move pushed together and one of them will pop up over the other one, okay? So then the thought is, well, what would happen to the Earth's surface if they were to move like that? So you have this slide and you need to answer these questions. How many different ways did you find that the plates could move or your hands could move? We found 3 different ways, right? Side to side, they could move apart, or they could come together. So your job is to draw on a piece of paper those 3 different ways. So draw little hands. They don't have to be perfect. My little hands are just, it's not an artistic thing. It's just to demonstrate what you learned, okay? And then you need to put arrows on them to show me which ways they're going to move. So you're going to have, if they're going this way, you're going to have an arrow going up and an arrow going down on the other side, right? And then you have arrows pushing them apart and arrows pulling them together. 3 different drawings need to go in on that slide, okay, so that I can see the movement. So then we talked about what are some things that might happen to the Earth's surface if those plates moved like that. So what are some things that we might experience or that the Earth might experience if they slipped side by side? Side by side. Yep, earthquakes. That's a big one. Anytime these plates are moving, that we're going to experience some earthquakes, okay? And they're moving all the time, but at some point, it might catch and snag, and then poof, that's how we get an earthquake, okay? What do you think? We might feel earthquakes as they're moving apart. And what happens when we do this? Do any of these plate movements result in mountains? Think about that question. You will have these questions on your slides to answer. So your job is to experiment with your hands a little bit, draw your pictures and insert them into your slides, and it's the same thing. So in Google Docs or in Google Slides, you need to go to Insert, and then choose Image, and then choose Camera. Insert, Image, Camera is the way to do that. And then you're also going to tell me which one of those plate movements would result in mountains being built.